DreAllDay.com.
You're now tuned into a show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you're expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy that moves all of us to go and make things happen instead of wait for things to happen. We put all this together into one bundle, one philosophy, one book, one package. This show right here, it is called Work on Your Game, the masterclass. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. Today's topic is you either build or you destroy. There is no in between. You are doing one or the other. I recently saw, what got my attention on this subject was, actually I've talked about this concept many times over the years, but I didn't have a masterclass on it. So again, we are making sure I'm going on the record with this in the place where I most want to be on the record. But I saw that Donald Trump's, by the time you hear this I think is probably already out, but Donald Trump's niece is writing a book, at least as of this recording, or trying to release a book. And I heard that the Trump family is trying to stop it, or at least Donald Trump himself, she's part of the family, but they're trying to stop this book from coming out. But his niece is writing a book. It's basically a tear down book about Donald Trump. We know the angle of this. His niece is writing a book talking about the family story, or at least what she knows of the family story, the parts that she wants to share about Donald Trump basically becoming who he became, and is a takedown book. That's pretty much what it is. And journalism, they call these hit pieces. When somebody just writes an article about you, but they're actually trashing you in the article, but they don't tell you that they're going to trash you until after they've already talked to you and gotten as much information as they can out of you. Now, this woman, her name is Mary Trump. She's writing this book. This is like the book version of a hit piece, and she probably got a nice sized check to write this book. It'll probably be the thing that propels her into, propels her into, I guess we can call it relevance, or is more than relevance. It's going to make her more of a, I don't know, we'll just say fame, for lack of a better term, in the mainstream, especially if Donald Trump wins another 4 years. She'll probably write another book after this if he wins. Now, if he loses, then she'll still have a relative amount of fame. But if he wins, she will actually have more fame just because he won, because there's a hit piece book out on him, and he'll probably get asked about it, and she'll probably get more opportunities to go on TV and speaking engagements and things like that by writing this book trashing Donald Trump. Now, listen, I'm not saying that I am for or against the book. I have not read the book. I had never heard of this woman before. They said, I actually Googled her, and they said that she usually kept herself very private. She wasn't really known publicly until she decided to come out with this book. For whatever reason she decided to do it. I am pretty sure she got herself a nice size check for writing this book, publishing it, I believe, through Simon & Schuster, and she's gonna make herself some more money talking about the book after the book comes out, if it comes out, because like I said, there's a legal situation right now. Donald Trump and company are trying to stop her from putting it out. Whatever. This masterclass is not about the book itself, but there's a woman who I'm cool with online who has spent the last couple of years bashing Donald Trump as pretty much her job, because I read her tweets and I see her articles and the shows that she does and things like that. She basically goes online and trashes Donald Trump in as many ways as she can on a day-to-day basis. And listen, I'm not mad at her for doing it, because there's a big business, there's an entire industry that has been created over the last 4 years that is based on trashing Donald Trump. If you trash Donald Trump, you can make yourself some money, because there's a whole legion of people who disagree with the fact that Donald Trump exists as president of the United States, disagree with maybe some of his politics and policies, disagree with the fact that they believe he represents racism and bigotry and all the other negative things that people have been saying. I'm not even that big on politics, but if you have the internet, then you know that this is going on. There's a whole lot of people who just do not like Donald Trump, or even the presence or the thought or even the name Donald Trump. And if you trash him, those people will support you. So this woman who I know of, she has spent the last few years doing exactly this. And I don't know what her profile was before Donald Trump, but I am pretty sure that her profile has grown because of her bashing, her consistent, very, very consistent bashing of Donald Trump over the last few years. Now, let me tell you a funny irony here. I'm still in the introduction of this topic again, which is you either build or destroy. Let me tell you a funny irony. If Donald Trump loses in November and let's just say as it stands right now, it would be Joe Biden beating him or maybe Kanye West beating him. Many of his detractors, his full-time detractors, they're not going to have jobs. What are they going to do? If Donald Trump loses, all the people who trash Donald Trump every day, all of them ain't still going to have a job to do after the smoke clears. So let's say he would still have his job technically until like January, right? When the new president gets sworn in. But so let's just say that's November. So we go December, January, that's another 2.5 months. Let's say maybe another month or two of unrest, maybe if they think that Trump's going to keep saying stuff, or maybe he'll write his own book or whatever's going to go on at that point. Let's just assuming that he loses. What is everybody going to do by this time next year if Trump is no longer president? Because a lot of people's whole job is just bashing that man, whatever he says, whatever he does, whatever he tweets, talk about it. Donald Trump has put a lot of people in work. All right, and if one thing you can say about Donald Trump, the guy is a successful businessman in that he has created not only opportunities for himself, but a whole lot of opportunities for others. And there's a whole industry, again, of people who are anti-Trump. And they got podcasts, they've written books, they bolstered their social media platforms, they're doing conferences, they're doing virtual events, just bashing this guy. And listen, again, I'm not knocking it, I'm not saying I'm for it, and I'm not saying I'm against it, I'm just pointing it out that it exists. I don't think anyone can disagree with that. So, and I also think that many detractors will be out of work if and when he loses because they won't have him to talk about anymore. But to the point, I understand that if you hate Donald Trump, if you're an anti-Trumpist who's listening to this right now, you could probably come up with plenty of justifications for such a book. And you agree with the fact that someone will write a book trashing him, especially if the book is based in, quote, facts, close quote. As I remember saying something to this woman online, I said, well, she posted a passage from the book, and I said, well, that passage doesn't really prove anything. It sounds like this woman is hating. It's a hit piece. The whole book is to trash this guy, which I understand, and everyone has the right to free speech. If she wants to trash him, she can trash him, and she's going to get a nice check for doing so. But to say that the whole book is based in facts, I would say probably not. I haven't read the book, but if it's just based in facts, then we can get the facts off Google or maybe Wikipedia or something like that, or CNN if it's based in facts. A whole lot of the book is going to be based in this woman's perspective. That's the whole point. She's the niece of Trump, so she has an insider's view on him, and she's on the inside, and she's going to trash him. That is based on perspective. It's not a fact. That is perspective. And I didn't go back and forth with the woman because, again, she's a serious, completely devoted anti-Trumper. So there's nothing that I'm going to say that she's going to say, oh, you know what, you're right, even though I am right. But anyway, the point is this. I'm going to tell you what I'll tell you today. And this is something that I said. When I said to her on social media, I said, well, that passage doesn't really prove anything. It's just a person with a bone to pick against Trump and is trashing him in a book. I mean, she has a book that she's going to promote. So, of course, she's going to say some things, some incendiary things to trash Trump. And she knows there's a whole audience of people who are ready to soak it up, including yourself. And someone else who I was not speaking directly to them, but they responded and said, well, just because a person has something negative doesn't mean that what they say is not true, this and that. And I responded back to them and said the following. Every action in life is either building or destroying. You're either building something up or you are trying to tear something down. Which one is this book doing? And I'm still waiting on a response from either of those people. All that being said, this is not about politics. This is not about Trump or never Trump or anti-Trump or pro-Trump. It's not about Trump at all. Today's topic is you either build or you destroy. And that conversation led to this topic coming up here today. Point number one. In life, every single thing that you do, you are either making things better or you are making them worse. What you do to other people, what you say about other people, what you think about them, what actions you take towards them, someone will do to you. Another person's wrongdoing does not excuse your wrongdoing. In other words, if someone does something towards you that you think is wrong, or someone represents something that you think is wrong, or someone presents themselves in such a way that you think is negative, that does not give you license, nor does it excuse you doing something negative towards that person or saying something negative about that person. It doesn't excuse the energy that you're putting out into the world because you think somebody else is putting out negative energy. Doesn't mean you can go do it to balance things out. All right, you're not the world. You are not the karma police. All right, the karma itself acts as its own police system. All right, they don't need your help. As the saying goes, two wrongs don't make a right. Now, let me be clear. Every one of us violates this whole concept at times, some of us more than others. I know I have violated it many times, and I probably will violate it more times in the future. We all violate it at times. However, let me be clear. Each one of us will be judged only on our own actions, not on the justifications of said actions. Let me repeat that point. Each one of us will be judged on our own actions, not on the justifications of said actions. So let's put some flesh to this. If you see someone in your day-to-day life doing something that is wrong, you judge it to be wrong. You decided that they did something wrong, and you decide, because they did something wrong, you decide that you're going to take some destructive action towards this person, whether it be in your energy, whether it be in your words, your thoughts, or your actions. And because you decided that you're going to balance things out. They did something wrong, so you're going to do something wrong to them. Understand that you will be judged on that action in isolation. That action alone you will be judged on. You will not be judged on how you justified the action. Well, they did something wrong, so I'm going to do something wrong. This guy's representing all these negative things, so I'm going to do something to make him look bad because I want to balance the score out. All right, you will only be judged on what you did. Now, your justification for it doesn't come into the conversation when you're being judged on your own actions. Why is this? And you say, well, no, that's not actually true, Dre, because somebody can justify it and this and that. Let me be clear what we're talking about here, because I'm not talking about the judgment of man. I'm talking about the judgment of karma. Everyone agrees with karma, right? I've never heard a person say they disagree with karma. Now, you may disagree or agree with the conservatives and the liberals, the Democrats and the Republicans, the Trumps, the non-Trumps, what somebody said on their show, what somebody said on Twitter, what somebody posted on YouTube. Everybody can agree or disagree with that thing. I've never met a person who said they disagree with karma. Everyone seems to agree with it. Thing is, people only point it out when the karma is working in their favor. They don't point it out when it's working against them. But everyone seems to agree with it, at least when they want to, selectively. Karma keeps score. Karma is the most accurate scorekeeper alive, or the most accurate scorekeeper known to man. Let's put it that way. And everyone claims to believe in it. So that's the one thing that we can all agree on. The energy that you put out, building energy, constructive energy, or destructive energy, karma is keeping the score. All right, not you, not your friends, not your supporters who can justify everything that you do, not your detractors who find something negative with everything you do. Karma is keeping track of everything. So whether you think somebody else is right or wrong doesn't matter when it comes to your karma scorecard. Now, it does matter when it comes to how you talk to your audience or what you say to your fans or what people who hate you have to say about you. It matters there in the secular world, in the flesh. But when it comes to your relationship with karma, they're just keeping score based on what you do. All right, ain't nobody to blame, ain't no finger pointing when it comes to dealing with karma. Any of you remember, speaking of Donald Trump, we had the TV show The Apprentice. And he would have the contestants split up into two groups, and they would have a challenge, and whoever won would win, and whoever lost, they had to choose the person who was the leader of the task. They had to go into the boardroom, and that person got to choose two other people from the group to go into the boardroom with them. Those three people would sit there in front of Donald Trump and his staff, and they would basically assess the failure, find out why the failure happened, let everybody have their say, and then he would fire somebody. He would say, XXX, whoever, you're fired. And that person would be kicked off the show, and now the team was one person short, and then they had to continue and try to win as much as they could. All that, you know what would happen in there? When they would get on the inside, the team leader they could bring two other people with them to try to deflect blame. Well, yeah, I was a team leader. I was in charge of this failure, but the reason we failed is because this person is even more to blame than I was, and you got to blame. You got to point the finger at someone else to try to save your own ass from getting fired off the reality show. Here's the thing. When you are sitting in the boardroom with karma, you can't bring anybody else in there with you. It's just you. All that said, let's move on to point number 2. Today's topic is you either build or you destroy. Point number 2, getting even with people who attack you, like we talked about in yesterday's class, often holds you back in the process of teaching them a lesson. Isn't it interesting how that works? When you're trying to show somebody else what they need to know, all right, you have appointed yourself the teacher of this individual, so you decide to get even with that person, you often end up holding yourself back just to get even with them. because you're stopping your own progress just to pay attention to what they're doing or what you need to say to them, or to make sure you're holding them accountable, if you want to call it that. Whatever justification you want to give to it, you are stopping yourself from getting to your highest point and reaching your full potential by focusing on what you need to say or do towards another individual. As the saying goes about anger or about negative energy, trying to put negative energy or give negative energy to another person is like holding a burning coal in your own hands while waiting to throw it at another person. You're the one who gets burnt the most. Destroying other people or tearing other people down in any way, shape, or form, even when you feel like they, quote, deserve it, close quote, will hurt you just as well. All right, you cannot aim to and successfully execute destroying another person, whether destroying them physically, destroying them their reputation-wise, destroying them energetically, destroying them karmically, whatever way you attempt, if your intention is to destroy another person or tear another person down for whatever reason, whatever justification you have, if that is your aim, understand something. It is impossible for you to do that without some of that same energy rubbing off on you. You can't tear another person down without taking some of that same energy also tearing you down. You can't teach another person a lesson without also teaching yourself a lesson. So whatever lesson you're trying to give them, whatever way you're trying to make sure they understand things, all right, you're gonna get that same lesson. Maybe not at the same time, maybe not from the same person, but you're gonna get that lesson. Why? Because you agree with karma. Again, now, if you decide to reject karma, then nothing I'm saying here today will apply to you. Go on to the next class. But if you agree with karma, you can't disagree with anything that I'm saying right here. Again, this is not a defense or condemnation of any individual person or action. But you need to look at yourself. Remember, the topic here today is not about this person or that person. The topic is you either build or destroy. Are you making things better or are you making things worse? Are you building somebody up or are you tearing somebody down? Now, if someone's doing something to tear people down and you feel like it's the wrong thing, you do not have to. You have a choice of how you respond to that. You could ignore it if you want. You can respond to it by doing the same thing. And as we all know, two wrongs don't make it right. But oftentimes our pride and our ego are speaking to us and we don't have a chance to really think about that logically. We don't think about whether it's serving our future self or not. We understand it. We all make that mistake. We all have made a mistake, and I'm sure everyone who's listening to this right now and myself, we will make this mistake again in the future. However, now that we're consciously thinking about it, maybe we can make it less often. If someone's doing something to tear people down, you could counteract that by doing things to build people up. I'll tell you something, since I already brought up Donald Trump and politics, how about this? When Trump won in 2016, I remember in the months after he won, before he actually took office. So he won in November, he takes office in January, right? So in that period there, let's say 10-week period, there was a huge movement called the resistance. We're going to resist Trump. We're going to be better than Trump. All right, he's the guy who likes to take the low road. We're going to take the high road. We're going to be better than this guy. So this guy's tearing people down, attacking people on Twitter. We're going to do positive things to build people up and build up women and build up minorities and not be negative. And all the stuff that he's doing, we're going to do the exact opposite of that. How'd that work out? 4 years later, the same people who were pointing out all the negative things that he did, tearing people down, attacking people, being a bigot, being negative, being intolerant, I'm seeing the same thing from the other side. That's what I'm seeing. Now, again, I'm bipartisan, okay? I'm impartial. I claim no political party. I'm not a supporter of either political party or either side of the Trump conversation. But when I see people violating the principles that I'm talking about here, that I talk about on this show every single day, I'm gonna let them know. I don't care what side they're on. The principle of build and destroy. If you said you're gonna do the opposite of what this guy does, but here we are 4 years later and you're doing exactly what this guy does, you're violating your own principle, or at least what you claimed was a principle. The thing is, negative energy spreads faster than positive energy. Negative energy sells better than positive energy. This is just a business fact. So sometimes when it comes to making the sale of, some people think, all right, well, we gotta get Trump out of office. We gotta get him out of there, right? So let's just go negative because that'll make the sale better than the positive. Well, that's not what they were saying in 2016. But again, just an observation. We're still on point number 2 here. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no neutral in the universe. Nothing is neutral in the universe. You are either building or you're destroying. And you cannot build by destroying. Let me say again. There's no neutral in the universe. You are either building or destroying, and you cannot. It is scientifically impossible. It's against the laws of physics to build by destroying. And it's against the laws of physics to destroy by building. If your aim is to destroy, then that's what you're doing. If your aim is to build, then that's what you're doing. But you can't do both at the same time, and you are always doing one or the other. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is you either build or you destroy. Every situation in life can be looked at from a perspective conducive to building. In other words, even if you think somebody else is doing something destructive, you think somebody else is doing something negative or representing something that is really not helping people, you are not forced into fighting fire with fire. If somebody's doing some negative shit, you don't have to do something negative to counteract them. You don't have to. Now, you may choose to, but you don't have to. If you say you have to, then that means you're allowing other people's actions to control you, which makes no sense. Anybody who believes that other people's actions control your action shouldn't be listening to this show, or maybe you never heard of this show before, but I suggest that you go back in the archives, because that's not possible. Other people's actions do not control you. Other people's actions may affect you. Other people's actions may infect you. Other people's actions may influence you, but other people's actions do not control you. If you allow someone else's actions to control your actions, then at that point you are a puppet. They are controlling you. And if you're allowing other people to control you, I have no idea how many episodes of this show just went in one ear and out the other. Or maybe you just need to go back and listen to some, because maybe you missed 99% of them. The thing with this is, again, this third point, every situation can be looked at from a perspective conducive to building. There may be some effort involved in identifying that perspective. See, to look at a situation that looks really negative, caused by another person, and ask yourself, all right, how can I make this situation a positive? That might require a little bit of mental effort on your part. Are you willing to put that effort forth? Are you willing to ask yourself, all right, this person's being negative, they're destroying. How can we counteract their energy while also doing something positive and building? How can we do that? There may be some effort involved in identifying this perspective. It may take a little bit of work. It might take a little bit of time, a little bit of investment on your part. Often, what we end up doing is choosing the angle of least resistance, which is often the angle that best serves our egos. Again, the examples that I've already brought up here today. Do you see this? Ego, ladies and gentlemen, has its time and place in life. I mean, I've done several masterclasses on ego, so I can tell you a lot. I told you masterclass number 1523, check your ego at the door. Masterclass number 286, is your ego out of control? All right, there are times in life when you want to engage your pride and your ego. I told you in 1558, the value and use of pride in your life. It has its place, but understand it's not all the time. It's not everywhere. Wisdom is knowing when it's time for your ego and when it's not time for your ego. When is it time to fight fire with fire and go to the low road, and when is it time to do something different and go to the high? The challenge with someone deciding to use destructive energy to get ahead is very addictive. Using destructive energy to get ahead, understand it spreads a whole lot faster than positive energy. Destroying is much faster than building. How long does it take to think about this? I mean, y'all, any of you following me on Instagram, you follow my Instagram story, you see those posts I do every day, one day at a time, that hashtag showing you construction of buildings. How long does it take to build a building, and how long does it take to tear one down? You can tear a building down in about 60 seconds. You just set the explosives up, push the button, and everybody gathers around to watch it, and there's a cloud of smoke. It takes about a minute to destroy a 60-story building. How long does it take to build a 60-story building? So the energy of destruction, tearing things down, things happen a lot faster, you get results a lot quicker, and you get a lot more attention when you're destroying. Is somebody gonna just stop doing that and go to the constructive side just because, voluntarily? Probably not. So you gotta be very careful when you decide to dip your toes in that water of destroying. Point number 4. Today's topic is you are either building or you're destroying. Point number 4, check your construction bank account. You also call this your karma bank account. Every building, action, thought, or statement, every action, thought, or statement that you make that is constructive, trying to make things better, is a deposit into your account. And every destructive action, thought, or statement is a withdrawal from that account. So here's the question. Looking at your life as it stands right now today, are you in the black, accruing interest? I know it's not a lot of interest, but are you in the black? You got some cash in that account? Or are you in the red, owing the bank money and in danger of having your account written off and closed and sent to collections? Which one are you right now today? I'm not talking about what you're gonna do tomorrow and what you're gonna do in the future starting now that you heard this. I'm asking you, where are you today based on the last X number of years of your life? Is your account in the positive? Are you in the black? Are you accruing interest month by month? Or are you in the red? All right, your account is not at zero. All right, just in case anybody was thinking about that. Your account's not neutral. If you're old enough to have listened to everything that I said here today, your account is not in the neutral. Are you in the black or are you in the red? The most successful people in the world, again, you name who they are. Every person you just thought of, they are builders. While all of us do our fair share of both building and destroying, the builders simply have done a lot more building than they've done destroying, such that their accounts are overflowing in the black, overflowingly in the black, because they are always building, they're always adding on, they're always making things better. They're always coming up with a way to build a better mousetrap, as we said. They are always looking to build, even if they disagree with something somebody did, even if somebody pisses them off, even if someone's trying to do them wrong. That person, that successful individual that you thought of, they spend much more time building than they do destroying. They may do their fair share of destroying if they need to, but they spend much more time building. Again, their bank account is telling the story. The bank account's a scoreboard. Their construction bank account, that is. And maybe their real bank account as well. So here's where I remind you. The only people, this is the thing about, this goes to the point that I just made here about those successful people that you named or whoever you're thinking of. When their account is overflowing with success karmically, is because they spend more time building than they do destroying. And let me remind you of something, because right now you may be thinking to yourself, well, Dre, what about this person, this person, this person? They were negative, they were destructive, they were doing things to tear people down, but it seems like they have a lot of success. It seems like things are working for them. It seems like they were making a lot of money. What about those people? All right, let me address that right here. The only people whose job it is to count other people's money are bank tellers, accountants, and the IRS. So if you don't work in one of those three roles, it's not your job to count what somebody else has or what you think somebody else has, because you don't have one of those jobs, so you don't actually know. This is what you think they have. It's not your job. Your job is to count what's in your account. Now, if you're doing what you need to do and building, you ain't got time or energy or attention or focus to be looking at what somebody else has. You're looking on somebody else's plate. What they eat doesn't make you shit, to paraphrase Jay-Z. So if you think somebody has an account that is overflowingly in the black, yet they've been destroying, maybe you don't know as much about that story as you think you do. Maybe you're not paying attention to the parts that may be inconvenient to your reasoning and to the narrative that you've crafted in your own mind. And maybe, not maybe, but actually definitely, since you're not a bank teller or an accountant of that, you're not that person's accountant and you don't work for the IRS, it ain't your business what they have or what you think they have. Your business is what you got. And if you're focused on building and making something for yourself, then you don't even care what somebody else has. You're not looking on their plate because you're eating your own food. Let's recap today's class, which is you either build or you destroy. Point number one, you either make things better or you make them worse. What you do to other people, somebody's going to do to you. And another person's wrongdoing does not excuse your wrongdoing. Now, you will be judged only on your actions, not the justifications of your actions, because karma is keeping score and everybody believes in karma. So there's no argument to this point. Number two, getting even with people who attack you often holds you back while you're trying to teach them a lesson. Destroying other people, even if they deserve it, will hurt you just as much as you hurt them. There is no neutral in the universe. You cannot build by destroying. Number three, every situation in life can be looked at from a perspective that is conducive to building. The challenge is this will require effort in identifying the perspective and enacting the perspective, and positive energy does not spread nearly as fast as negative energy. Point number four, check your construction bank account. Every building action, thought, and statement is a deposit. Every destructive action, thought, and statement is a withdrawal. Are you in the black, accruing interest, or are you in the red, owing the bank money? The most successful people in the world are the builders. While everyone does their fair share of both building and destroying, the successful builders have done a lot more building than they've done destroying, and their accounts are thusly overflowing. And let me remind you, the only people whose job it is to count what other people have are bank tellers, accountants, and the IRS. Otherwise, you need to count what's in your wallet, not in theirs. Work on your game. Dre, all day.